Everton are without a major trophy in the 21st century, but we'll be looking to change that in this realistic rebuild. Being this close to the relegation zone halfway through the Premier League season is unsettling, but a change in direction with the appointment of Frank Lampard as manager may be what the club needed. There are some crucial players in this Everton squad, starting at the goalkeeper position. Jordan Pickford at the club since 2017 and England's #1. He will play a big role in this rebuild. Then you've got one of our two strikers in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Has struggled with some injury problems this season, but when he's healthy, he's a quality player. You could say the same thing about Richarlison, arrived for a big fee from Watford a few years ago, and seems to be one of Brazil's best strikers, another Brazilian player in the midfield. With Alan, whose arrival from Napoli surprised a lot of people. But Everton were one of the clubs that made a lot of moves in January. The departure of Luca Digne to Aston Villa is a big loss, but fortunately, they did have a direct replacement with Vitaly Mikoloko, only 22 years old, has a bright future ahead, arriving from Dinamo Kiev for 21.15 million. I don't know if FIFA's given Nathan Patterson the best rating. Hopefully he'll see an increase in future squad updates, but the 12.6 million arrival is clearly an investment for the future. El Ghazi joins on loan from Aston Villa and another loan transfer with Donny van de Beek. Even if you're not an Everton or Manchester United fan, I think a lot of us want to see him do well. It was a transfer deadline day arrival for Delhi, technically a free transfer in January, but I believe there are a lot of future conditions on top of that deal. I do want to mention we've got lots of players out on loan from the club. I think the most notable has to be Moise Kean, who's out on loan at Juventus. With Lampard's history of giving youth academy graduates a chance in the first team, I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out at Everton. We've got our own homegrown talent in Jack Charles, who starts as a 70 rated left winger, but because of his attributes, I think we give him a chance as striker, as it will only take 2 weeks, ultimately giving him a +4 in his rating. But I want to overview the squad as we check in January 2022. As I have replicated Everton's results, the squad is not too happy with our current performances. Hopefully we can change things in the second half of this season. Charles growing to a 76 rated striker and ready for some first team action. I think it will be difficult for us to achieve a lot of these board objectives, especially the domestic success. It's going to be tough for us to qualify for European competitions, let alone Europa League. But moving forward, we should have a good amount of funds to spend. 60 million currently in our transfer budget, a 5-star, 4-star scout as well. Setting up a network in England this season, and we will see a couple other youth academy promoted players. But one pretty common thing that I've noticed is that there are some older players in this Everton squad, and I usually try to at least bring in some funds for these departures. But this time around, I thought it would be extra realistic to let their contracts expire. Only 3 players with less than 6 months remaining on their contract will receive an extension, that being Begovic, who will serve as our backup goalkeeper. Pretty promising player in Lewis Dobbin. And then you've got John Joe Kenny, who has a decent rating of 75 and can give us some squad depth at the right back position, while Patterson continues to grow in his rating. Only 2 of the players that had contracts expiring will be leaving on a free, but we somehow managed to achieve some domestic success by reaching the final of the FA Cup up against Crystal Palace. And because we only have 2 Premier League fixtures remaining this season, we can get a pretty good idea of where we'll stand in the league. Some improvements from January, but we are very much mid-table. A win in this FA Cup final could not only break Everton's streak of not winning trophies, but also get us into European competitions for next season, so this is a big match. We certainly could have had a more difficult opponent for this FA Cup final, but I'm not looking to take Crystal Palace lightly. We both deserve to be here, but we both had some luck on our side, not facing more difficult opposition in our path to the final. But getting into these highlights, it only took 4 minutes for us to get the first chance. Van de Beek getting this on his preferred right foot, and this is where the quality really comes into play. The finesse shot beats the keeper and gives us the early 1-0 lead. Exactly how we wanted to start things, and what a gameplay debut for our loan addition. Looking to keep that momentum going here as Calvert-Lewin gets a chance, finds Van de Beek, and a quality save from the Crystal Palace keeper. Just minutes before the halftime break, we're still looking to double our lead, all on with somewhat of a long shot effort, but certainly a lot of power behind the shot for our center defensive midfielder. The Brazilian makes things 2, and all of a sudden, we are in the driver's seat. It's going to take a lot for Crystal Palace to get back into this one, and our defense just needs to stay sound. And I've got to say, I adjusted pretty quickly to this Everton squad and their tactics. Generally speaking, they're a quality side in career mode with some high potential players. They just had a lackluster season for the 21-22 campaign. But obviously, we're looking to change that in this rebuild, and it seems like we are on the path to Everton's first silverware in a long time. Making a change here shortly after the halftime break, I pretty much split up playtime between Van de Beek and Ali as they play a pretty similar role in the team, and it's hard to fit both of them into the starting 11. A quick response, though, from Palace, as in the 50th minute, they're going to get a long shot effort of their own. I believe that is Riedewald, the former career mode wonder kid, who gets one back, and one final chance here in the 93rd minute. They will pull things within one, but obviously with time running out, we will be lifting the FA Cup this season. Our captain, Seamus Coleman, will lift the trophy this time around. There's not a more fitting player to break Everton's trophy drought, and I am really excited about the future of this rebuild. With the Premier League season finally reaching its end, we'll see where we end up. 10th place isn't bad considering the bad start we had to the year. It's Manchester City and Liverpool that round out the top 2 spots. And as for the relegation zone, it's Watford, Crystal Palace, and Southampton to see bottom 3. Fair play to Palace to reach the FA Cup final, but heartbreak to see them going down to the championship. As far as other competitions, we saw a third round exit to Blackburn Rovers in the Carabao Cup. Aston Villa winning the competition on penalties. Real Madrid will win Champions League. Bayer Leverkusen with a victory in the Europa League final. And Athletic Club Bilbao picking up silverware in the Conference League. Calvert-Lewin will lead the way for goals, 21 from 44 appearances. Pretty good numbers from Richarlison as well in our 2-striker formation. It is Damari Gray from the left mid position to lead the club in assists. Solid numbers from Van de Beek, 37 appearances, 5 goals and 4 assists from the midfield. Obviously had that crucial opener in the FA Cup final and went up +4 in his rating. Charles saw a +8 over the course of the season. A lot of that came from his position change to striker. And 2 of Everton's most promising players performed spectacularly for their growth. Patterson with a +6 in his overall, 272. Gordon also with a +6 to 75. And a couple of promoted players from our youth academy. We've got Jackson Waite, a 63 rated left back with 74 to 88 potential, and Noah Short, a 60 rated center midfielder, 82 to 92 potential. Despite a trophy in Lampard's inaugural season, our manager rating is not in good shape. A 61 means that we'll need to place a higher focus on our board objectives next year. There will be some changes to the starting 11 as we get into Season 2 of this rebuild. Dele shifts into the center attack and mid-role with Van de Beek's loan expiring. And although he's currently the lowest rated player in the squad, I still think we keep Coleman as our captain as we don't have a better right back option available yet. There shouldn't be too much of a problem with these board objectives, signing a couple of younger players looking to finish in a Champions League spot, which is ambitious from the board, as well as repeating in the FA Cup. Continentally, we also need to strive for a cup victory in Europa League. Speaking of which, here's our group. We've got Benfica, Vitesse, and Apol. I don't think we'll have a problem with top 2, but we're aiming to finish top of our group, especially with 112 million in our transfer budget. We might even see a rise in our funds as I was contemplating what to do about Richarlison, an 85 overall striker, one of the standout players in this Everton team. It seems like with every transfer window, there are rumors that he might leave the club, perhaps a move to La Liga with Real Madrid and Barcelona being potential options. But for this save, the Manchester City offer was intriguing, especially with some of the other transfers going on around the world. Barcelona picked up Haaland, who is one of the strikers that City had been looking to sign, and with Harry Kane moving to Real Madrid, I think it makes the most sense to let Richarlison leave to Manchester City as they look to win their first Premier League title in this save. A few other departures with Andre Gomez joining newly promoted Fulham for 12.5 million, Gabamine to Monaco for 7 million, and Broadhead to Coventry City for 1.4 million. Plenty of striker options for us to sign, but I really like the concept of bringing Luka Jovic to the Premier League. Obviously, before his move to Real Madrid, he was one of the top striker prospects in the world. And even during his loan spell back at Frankfurt last season, he was scoring some goals. Somewhat similar in playstyle to Richarlison with that 5-star weak foot. But with an 81 overall, I think it's the right fit for Europa League, arriving for 48.9 million. It's much more than his current evaluation, but funds aren't going to be too much of a problem for us in this rebuild, as we also look to strengthen the midfield. Southampton were just relegated to the Championship, and Diallo is one of their best prospects. With Alon getting older, I want to give us another option at the center defensive mid position, and the Frenchman will be a good player for us, and of course provide some extra squad depth, making the transfer for 10.5 million, just above his current evaluation of 10 million. But we will start this season in the FA Community Shield, the matchup between the FA Cup winners and the Premier League winners. Also, a bit of a derby for us against Liverpool. We took them to penalty kicks, but we'll fall in defeat this time around. Hopefully, we get our matchup in the future against Liverpool. But I was feeling good heading into this Premier League season opener against Aston Villa. The majority of our players well into the 80s for their overall rating, as we look to build upon the silverware that we won in Season 1. And we'll see how we're doing here in January 2023. 6th place in the Prem, so an improvement upon where we were sitting last year. Also finishing top of our Europa League group, just 1 point ahead of Benfica, but we were by and far the 2 teams that advanced to the later stages. With us now progressing to the knockout stages of Europa League, I felt comfortable making some additional transfers, especially with that big departure of Richarlison at season start. I'm totally fine with continuing to improve this team. Jeremy Doku is a player that a lot of clubs in Europe are looking to bring in. It's still difficult to gauge how much potential he truly has because he's such a young player, but he had an incredible Euros campaign with Belgium and has stated that he's playing to eventually make the move to the Premier League. Honestly, not very much for this transfer fee, only 39 million, which was actually below his current evaluation, so his contract was likely coming to an end over at Stade Rennais. We'll again look at what players' contracts are expiring within the next few months, and we will see one departure with Doucouré joining Villarreal on a free next season, but I think this will be our first team heading into the Europa League knockout stages. We have decided to take Coleman out of the starting 11 because he's just continuing to drop in his overall. Godfrey can play at the right back position, and we'll test our luck here against Hoffenheim in the round of 16. Winning the first leg 2-0, second leg is scoreless, so that means we'll advance through to the quarterfinals against Real Sociedad. A brace from Jovic as well as a contribution from Gray gives us a 3-0 result in the first leg. 1-1 in the second leg puts us through into the semifinals against another Spanish opponent in Athletic Club Bilbao. Only a 1-1 scoreline to show for in the first fixture, but the home leg, what an outing from us. One of the best simulated results I've seen. 6-0 puts us through 7-1 on aggregate and up against Inter in the final. It seems like Lampard's campaign has given Everton a newfound luck in cup competitions. I wish that would also translate over to the Premier League because we had that expectation of finishing top 4. Didn't meet that mark, but as long as we pick up a victory in this Europa League final, we will be fine. Leeds, Brentford, and Norwich will be seeing the drop to the championship, but I don't want to speak too soon because Inter are one of the better sides in career mode. They've got some top potential players like Barella and some interesting tactics with this 3 at the back formation. Will we be able to see trophies in back-to-back seasons? Also, the fact that this fixture is being played at Anfield, I thought was fitting. It's a way for us to sort of get our revenge after losing to Liverpool in our first match of this season. But all focus will be on this Europa League final. It's Calvert-Lewin to play through Jovic. Does well to even get by the defenders. Can't get the shot on target, but showing early that we will likely create chances. Now Jovic to Calvert-Lewin. Gets ahead of the Inter defenders. Spots out the run from Dele, and he is going to nod that effort home for the 1-0 opener 10 minutes in. He's earned that starting 11 role for Season 2, and our 2 center attacking mids in these cup finals continue to be the first goal scorers, but now it's going to be a defensive outing. Inter have a lot of quality attackers, and it will be tough to keep a clean sheet, but fortunately, Calvert-Lewin gives a little bit more room to work with. 2-0, 39 minutes in, and we're looking to keep that clean sheet via Pickford, not letting up the goal before the halftime break. But now it's Inter again. Some quick passing play. Pickford was all over the place. The double save here to deny things. And on a set piece, Calvert-Lewin is able to get that effort towards target. It was tipped by the Inter keeper, but not enough to stop that one from going in. And of course, with things 3-0, we may as well try to make it 4. Unable to do so there. But all in all, a dominant performance in a match that I thought we would be struggling in. Perhaps the new arrivals proved the difference, but it is going to be Pickford who put up pretty much a man of the match performance. And we'll also see the trophy celebration here in Season 2. We made it to the 4th round of the FA Cup, but saw a defeat to Sheffield United. Wolves will pick up the victory in the final against Liverpool. And for the Carabao Cup, we saw a defeat in the 3rd round. Some more silverware for Liverpool as they see a win against Birmingham City in the final. Champions League, it's a competition that we're going to see our involvement in next year, but it's Bayern München to beat Manchester United 3-1. Lazio picking up the win in Conference League. And in back-to-back seasons, Calvert-Lewin leading the way for goals. Actually, Jovic was equal on the goals tally, both with 24 from roughly 54 and 55 appearances. For the assist category, it's again Gray from that left mid position, continues to grow in his overall and continues to put up good numbers. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about Patterson. I was hoping a loan spell at Sporting would see a huge rise in his overall, but that just didn't happen, so maybe that season 1 growth was somewhat a fluke. Moise Kean, on the other hand, continues to grow in his rating up to an 84, and we'll see his loan spell at Juventus come to an end. Still need to decide what his future is going to be like, but we will see some promotions from our youth academy. This was just to fulfill board objectives. Shields a 61 rated left back with a potential of 81 to 87. You've got Aiden Parks, a 60 rated goalkeeper, 86 to 92 potential. And finally, Dominic Morley, a 60 rated center defensive mid, 83 to 89 potential. All in all, a great season for Frank Lampard and this Everton squad. We'll see what we can do here in season 3. Champions League football is a whole different picture, but I think we have the foundations down in this Everton squad. Still a few weak points, especially in our defense. Patterson, I was hoping he would play a bigger role in this rebuild, but a 74 rating just is not going to cut it, so I think that will be the first area we look to improve. Clearly, the executives want us to make some transfers, in particular signing 3 players from Europe. Again, looking to finish in a Champions League spot in the Prem, winning the FA Cup, and reaching the final of Champions League. We've had some good fortune for the group stage opponents. I think we can advance out of Group G with Juventus, Royal Antwerp, and RB Salzburg. Considering our achievements and how many players left the club last year, I honestly thought we'd have a higher transfer budget, but I'm not complaining about 139 million. And I thought a while for what to do regarding Moise Kean. Honestly, I think letting him go to another club is probably the best option. Hasn't really featured for Everton all that much. And it's a very interesting storyline with him and Inter. I believe his father has gone and said that he would be open to the possibility of joining Inter even if it is one of the rival clubs in Serie A, compared to where he spent his loan spell at Juventus. So we're going to roll with that storyline. Also an offer that I was happy to accept, 62.5 million added to our transfer budget. Also another departure with Alex Iwobi. He wasn't happy with his playtime and he requested a leave, so not much I can do about that here. Again, we're looking to improve at that right back position, and my thought process for this was to look at clubs that have an excess of players in that role. Manchester United is probably the first team that comes to mind for me. But honestly, Everton and United have had a couple of transfers in the past, so I think it makes sense to turn here and look to sign Diogo Dalot. The Portuguese star is going to have no problem fitting into our starting 11 and improving our defense, arriving for a 40 million transfer fee, only 5 million more than his current evaluation. If you decide to go with your own Everton realistic rebuild, I think looking at the relegated clubs is definitely something you consider each and every season. I was surprised Leeds saw the drop, but they've got a couple of high potential players for us to choose from. Another former United player here with Daniel James, and apparently he nearly made the move to Everton had he not joined Leeds United. It's going to be an expensive arrival for a player that isn't going to break into the first team right away, but 35 million will hardly break into our transfer budget, and I think if we want to withstand the test of Champions League football, this is going to be a necessary addition. We still need to sign that final player from Europe to achieve board objectives, and when I was looking through the free agents, Billy Gilmore is the player that stood out to me. I wanted to make it a point to sign at least one player that Lampard has managed at a previous club in his career. And honestly, I think Gilmore got his breakthrough during Lampard's time at Chelsea. All in all, it just makes sense, and this will give us an extra option in the midfield. Again, we'll compete in a competition prior to the Premier League. It's the UEFA Super Cup against Bayern München. And again, we bring them to extra time, but our opponents see the victory. 3-1 is how things end. Hopefully we'll see some better luck as we turn our attention to the league. But here is our starting 11. A few players moving around, specifically Godfrey back to the right center back position, Dalot into the right back role. And somehow Allen has not yet dropped at his rating despite being well into his 30s. We'll see how we're doing here in January 2024. And we are again 6th place in the Premier League. Not that many points behind league leaders Liverpool though. We'll again see a top of the group finish here in Champions League, 16 points, going unbeaten in the group stage. It was always our expectations to advance the knockouts, but we should have some good opponent matchups. But we do have some problems here in our starting 11. I think the biggest one has to do with Calvert-Lewin. He has been one of the club's top goal scorers so far in this rebuild, and he's not going to be fully available for another 5 weeks, so he might miss out on some knockout stage action. With that said, I don't think we necessarily need to sign another striker. We have our homegrown talent, Charles, who hasn't been too much of a focus in this rebuild, but he is up to an 84 rating. Honestly, he would make the starting 11 for most Premier League teams, so I think he'll have no problem featuring for us. We will see one departure though in January. Holgate is another player that submitted a transfer request, so we accepted the first offer available that was from Lazio for 17 million. All in all, we're ready to move forward. The players are happy. Sharpness is at its peak, and we're ready to get into the Champions League knockouts. Our first opponent in the round of 16 will be Sevilla, and it looked like we were going to be at a huge disadvantage going to the second leg, but late goals from Charles and Jovic bring things level. Again, we're dominant at Goodison Park with a 5-2 scoreline, putting us through 7-4 on aggregate and into the quarterfinals against Atletico Madrid. We've got goals from Jovic, Calvert-Lewin, and Gray, our three strikers, giving us a 3-0 scoreline. And the second leg goes in Atletico Madrid's favor, but we will be advancing due to the aggregate 4-2 scoreline. And another Spanish opponent in the semifinals, it's Real Madrid. First leg ends 2-2. Charles again proving to be a bigger and bigger player in this rebuild as time goes on, securing that late goal. And in the second leg, it took extra time, but finally it goes in our favor. Calvert-Lewin with a 96-minute winner, and we are into the Champions League final against PSG. That will be the final match of this season and the final gameplay action in this rebuild. Disappointing that we didn't see better league finishes, as again, we're unable to finish top 4 and only see a 6th place finish. But we make it all the way to the 6th round of the FA Cup, eventually losing out to Manchester United, who lose out to Liverpool in the final. However, at very least, we have secured a trophy in each and every season of this rebuild with a victory in the Carabao Cup against Manchester United. It was Calvert-Lewin to score the only goal. But right now, our focus is on Paris Saint-Germain. They've still got Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi up top. Tough team to play against, but I feel confident with our starting 11. It's been a wild ride with this Everton rebuild, but a lot of original players are still in the team, and I think that is one thing that really stands out with this Everton squad. They should be performing better than where they're sitting in the current Premier League standings, and I am pretty confident that the future is promising with Frank Lampard. But getting into these highlights, PSG will start things off. Mbappe is just so difficult to defend against. It's a good thing we've got Pickford between the sticks. We saw from last season's Europa League final how many stops he can actually make, and that was no different here in this Champions League final. But Doku, haven't really talked about him too much since we signed him, but he's into the 90s for his rating, and he will open up the scoring. Just has enough pace to get by the defenders and also has the composure to find the cross goal efforts. Just before the halftime break, I believe things should have been called over for the first half by the referee, but he let play go on, and Verratti able to find the equalizer as we head into the break. It's still anyone's match to win, but we will rely on our wingers to get forward. Calvert-Lewin did so well to bring the ball down, but unable to find the finish. Another storyline as Van de Beek gets brought on as a sub. I believe PSG also signed the former Everton player John Stones. So it really was an incredible Champions League final and rebuild for storylines as we try to bring on Anthony Gordon, one of our most talented youngsters. Calvert-Lewin able to find the finish on the finesse shot. 67 minutes in, and we have a lead in this Champions League final. Will we be able to hold on, or will we be able to maybe add another goal? Well, it's Mbappe showcasing that dribbling, just a couple of ball rolls to get by our defense. And with only 20 minutes left to play, it is again level in this one. Charles has scored some big goals in the simulations, and I was thinking maybe he can be the difference maker in this one. Just sometimes bringing on a late substitute can give you what you need to find the last chance. But PSG were relentless with the pressure, and Mbappe was so good in front of goal, getting his brace in the 86th minute, and now we need to respond quickly. With the clock trickling down, it looks like we will be given one final chance. Doku down the right wing has the supporting run from Charles, and had we been able to complete that pass, I felt pretty confident in Charles' ability to finish in front of goal, but unfortunately, the ref will call for full time, and we will see a defeat in this Champions League final. It was always going to be difficult for us to win, but it was truly remarkable for us to reach this point. And what a rise to Europe's biggest stage for Everton in this rebuild. Reviewing other competitions, Spurs pick up a win in Europa League via Real with the dub in Europa Conference League. And we'll see a change in top goal scorers. It's Jovic, who scored 23 from 57. Had Calvert-Lewin been healthy all season, I still think he would have had the most goals for us. But in his third consecutive season, Gray leads the way for assists, 13 from 58. But all in all, I think the future is bright for Everton, and hopefully they can see a change to their form and be able to stay in the Premier League for the 22-23 season. If you did enjoy this realistic rebuild, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, but until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to you all again soon.